that's what happened. Sam Allardyce went, John Williams went, Tom Finn went. You know, they were there to help the Venkys. And, you know, they sacked them all eventually. And now they're struggling. They're struggling because they haven't got a lot of idea in football, to be honest. And things are going from bad to worse. And, as I've said before, something needs to happen. You know, if they're going to bring a manager in, he needs time to get the team up the league. Tonight's a big match, but you know it's only December. It won't mean that Blackburn will get relegated if they lose, and it won't mean that Bolton will. But I think how Owen Coyle would be in more trouble than Steve Kean.
What do you mean?
Well, if they lost tonight, if Bolton lost tonight, I think Owen Coyle would be in more trouble if Bolton lost than if Blackburn lost. That's how much I think the Venkys think about Steve Kean. He's here for a while, is Steve Kean. So I think supporters better get used to it.
But are they ever, okay, they might not have warmed to him, are they ever going to get behind him? Because we heard from David May, he said, look, whatever's happening, whatever you might think about the manager, whatever your opinions on him as a person are, you've got to get behind the team, you've got to get behind them tonight and will them on to be that 12th man to get those all-important 3 points. Is that going to happen? Or if there's an early goal that goes against them tonight, once again the banners come out and the atmosphere that's been working against the team, some have suggested, returns once again, because it just becomes a vicious circle, doesn't it?
Well, I spoke earlier about Steve Kean, and I've always backed Steve Kean, and I thought he needed good men round him, the fans to get behind him, and work together, and we might get some results. But that's not happened. So where do you go from there? You know, Steve's had 12 months in charge. I think he's won 7 games. So, you know, any other manager at Blackburn with a board of directors probably would have got the sack. But, you know, Steve's hung in there, and as I say, he's not walking out, so maybe he'll have to be pushed. But I don't think the fans will ever warm to him. So he's got a really difficult job on his hands, and the Blackburn fans are suffering. And it's up to the Venkys now.
Tony, we've got the Premier League trophy behind us, and of course there are only 4 names on it, one of which, of course, is Blackburn from the 94-95 season. It just goes to show how far they've fallen and how potentially much further they could fall. Given what you've said about Steve Kean's position, given what you've said about the Venkys as well, how much do you fear for the future of your football club?
Well, it's strange. It's strange to answer that, because if they get relegated, I think it'll be serious. But if somebody can come in, or if Steve Kean can, you know, have another 3 or 4 games and make his way up the table, then, you know, it's got to be Premier League football for Blackburn. You know, you've seen a lot of teams go down. There's about 16 in the Championship who have been in the Premiership, all fighting for their lives to get back. But Blackburn look to be on a downward spiral. And if they don't stay in the Premiership, serious consequences. I can't see them getting back for a long, long time.
And from what you said so far, you suggested that they can survive the drop, but do you honestly believe they will survive the drop?
Well, I've always said it. I've always been quite positive. I think these teams were worse than Blackburn in the league. Not many, but enough for Blackburn to escape. The points are very tight. You know, you get the 3 clubs who have come up from the Championship. Usually 2 of them will be fighting for their life in May. So, you know, there's 5 or 6 teams who Blackburn could get above. But, you know, when the pressure's on, it's very, very difficult to win games in the Premiership, and derbies especially. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But it's drastic times now for Blackburn, and they need a win tonight.
Yeah, there's been 158 previous Red Rose derbies. As far as the stakes are concerned, are they as high as they've ever been tonight?
Can you say that again, Simon, please?
158 times these 2 teams have met. In terms of these meetings, are the stakes as high as you've known them to be? Yeah,
it's as big as we've had 158 derbies with Bolton, but that counts for nothing. It's tonight, the game. You can't look back and say that, you know, Bolton have won more than Blackburn. It's a one-off tonight. It's a big, big game for both clubs, for getting points and for the manager's sakes. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Tony, really good to speak to you. Appreciate your time.